All right, everybody. It's time to roll the wind. Practice like you play like you practice. Let's go roll.
Okay. So Stanford, I'm with Golden Touch, and I'm known as one of the better shooters in the group. I mean, the guys were good shooters, but I think Dom and I were probably the best, and that's who Frank wrote a lot about, because he was there with us, writing about our big roles. They're all true. So uh, we were told there's a celebrity taking our class. They didn't tell us who it was, but we had about, I don't know, 20, 25 people in our class. And uh, I don't know who it was. Plus, I wasn't into blackjack, so I never heard of Stanford Wong anyway. But he uses that's his real name is John, But
Yeah.
but anyway, so he took the class, and then I guess he started hearing about me, uh, kind of like Frank heard about me back in the par days, that I was one of the better shooters. So he came looking for me. And I think it was like on a Monday, like our class was Saturday and Sunday. So here it is Monday. And I'm going to play at Treasure Island, which was my favorite casino back then. So I go to Treasure Island and I'm going to do my stick right shot that I'm known for, my par toss. Well, stick right's taken. It's reserved for some high rollers. No one's there, but it has a reserve sign on it. So I can't shoot there. So there was another guy from the class named Dave. He goes by name Dave DeParker. And he's there, but he doesn't care. He's one of my students, but as long as I have a good roll, what does he care? So I
Right.
shoot from straight out. And I am having a good time. I'm doing my toss. I'm having fun, having a great roll. And up walks Stanford Wong. It's like, oh crap. He sees me shooting from straight out. He's going to report back to Frank and Dom,
Yeah.
and he's our celebrity guest.
Right.
He's going to look at me because they give me a lot of heat. Whenever they heard I was shooting from the end, they would like yell at me. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm almost like panicking, like, oh crap, I can't do my toss because Stanford's going to tell him, and he's like our big guest. So I said to Stanford, I said, please don't tell anybody I'm shooting from straight out. He said, well, why not? He says, well, Frank and Dom, they don't think anybody can do it. He says, well, I have two good eyes, and I see you have a great control toss from straight out, but I promise I won't say anything to them. All right, that's cool. So now I'm relaxed again. And I go on one of my heaters. I am in the groove, shooting from straight out, long, long roll. And I remember they had a boxman back then and a pit boss. And the pit boss walks up to the end of the table where I'm landing the dice. And he's watching the dice land. And how come I'm not throwing any sevens? I'm not cheating or anything. The dice just glued together, landing perfectly the same spot every time. And he goes back, and they can't stop me. It's like one of those times when no one can stop me. I'm going to be rolling for an hour or 2 hours. Who knows? I think it's going to keep on going.
Right.
He whispers into the boxman's ear, do something, stop this guy. So the boxman takes out a piece of paper. It must have been like one of those, wasn't 9 by 12, the next size up, 15 by 18, whatever it is. Takes out a piece of paper and starts waving it over the middle of the table as I'm throwing the dice.
I
Right?
mean, he's just sitting there going. He's just sitting there with a big old piece of paper, throwing it across like that.
Yeah, waving it over the whole table.
Oh my
And
God.
everybody's yelling at him, well, stop it, stop it. You're distracting the shooter. He says, well, I'm hot. I have to fan myself. You know,
Oh, okay.
but it really was, he's just trying to get me out of my shot.
Right.
So I put the dice down. I'm not going to shoot with him doing that. And I wait for him to stop. But by then I'm out of my zone. I pick the dice up, and it's on axis, but it's a double pitch, 7 out.
Yeah.
527 now, the Hardway said. I'm out of my zone.
Yeah.
So Sanford Wong says to me, Howard, I've gotten heat in blackjack, but I've never seen anybody get heat like this in craps. He was new to this.
Yeah.
And then to appease everybody, the pit boss says, "All right, everybody at the table, because everybody's complaining they had a lot of money out there. I'm going to comp everybody at the table to a free buffet." So we all go for the buffet. We're all bitching and complaining about it, and then everything is good. I'm proud of myself having a big role in front of Stanford Wong.
Sure.
Because I found out he's this big blackjack pro and he's a publisher and everything. And then about 2 or 3 months later, probably 3 months later, I get a package in the mail, and I open it up, and it's a book by Stanford Wong called Wong on Dice.
Ha.
And
Ha.
sure enough, he engraves it, to Howard Rock and Roller, the best I've ever seen, or I'll always play with you, something like that.
Right.
And then a great shooter. And then I look through the back, see if my name's in there. I just had a feeling, and sure enough, there I am, Howard Newman, or Howard, I think it's Howard Newman, and he put a chapter in there called "Creating a Breeze," about the boxman waving the paper over the table when I'm shooting to
Yeah.
stop me. Yeah,
That's a good story. Thank you for sharing that.
Jeffrey Long. Yeah,
Yeah. So I guess if you tried to put I mean, would you call it a family tree? Because you had, I get, Par was the original group.
right.
Then you've got somewhere out of this group of people, you've got the GTC, which you
Yeah,
were a part of.
right.
You said Bo Dice Coach was one of the instructors too, right?
Yeah, Bo was originally a par student who
Okay.
got very good,
Yeah.
and he uh, he had a house and he still does. He has a house in Las Vegas,
Right.
and in those days it was in Summerlin, and he had a garage that he air conditioned. He had a craps table in the garage, and Jerry Passman would tell everybody, when you go to Vegas, look up Bo, and come over there, ask him for permission, and go there and practice with him,
Yeah.
on the table.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Bo. I went in there, so, and I was introduced to him, and he was such a gentleman. I remember he invited us for dinner. He was a very, very nice man, very nice.
Right.
And then eventually, I guess Bo got tired of everybody just coming over for free and practicing on
Yeah.
his table,
Yeah.
that he started his own dice control business, called Dice Coach.
Right.
And he's been very, very successful for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Like as Golden Church was forming, he formed his own business, as a dice coach,
Yeah.
and we're still best friends. When
Yeah.
I go to Vegas, we always get together.
Great.
Always.
Yeah.
We
Yeah. Because
have lunch.
I've only met him off table. I've only met him at restaurants. I've never actually got to play with him. But one, I did get to play with you a couple of times down in Biloxi,
Yes.
and this was all after COVID, so that was not all that long ago. But
Yeah.
you know, I was nervous throwing in front of Howard Rock and Roller myself the first time. I think I PSO'd. I think
It happens. It happens to everybody.
it does.
Now, I did a class in Biloxi with Heavy, and you were
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And I had hurt my shoulder.
I
You
do.
remember that? I couldn't do the par toss because I couldn't do lateral extension. I couldn't extend my arm out. I had fallen in the garage. So I couldn't do that movement, that pendulum swing movement with my right shoulder. So what I was doing, I was shooting from straight out with one of my off
Right.
axis tosses. Everybody's probably wondering, what kind of toss are you doing, Howard? Because no one's ever seen that one. And I remember we were playing at Crapless over at we were playing at
At
Crapless
Harris.
Craps. over at Morris. I shoot from straight out doing one of my off-axis tosses, but I could, and because I could move my arm that way.
Yeah.
And I remember I hit a lot of 11s. Like,
Oh,
I
you
don't
hit
know,
so many 11s. You
right?
hit so, and I'm standing there with my money waiting to buy in because I don't know. You beat
Yes.
me down there and got
Oh,
in. I'm standing there with my money. I'm like, hit the point, hit the point, hit the point,
yeah.
and all you're throwing is 11, 11,
11
11,
was,
11.
which is perfect for crapless.
Oh
And,
yeah,
and and the crazy thing is that as I'm throwing, it must have been a roll in the mid 20s or so. As the throw is getting longer, my shoulder's starting to hurt me.
yeah.
I can feel it's like, oh, please let it last till the end of my roll.
I
You
think
know,
I loaned you some liniment or told you what to go get. One of the two.
it was biofreeze,
Yep, yep,
and it helped me. I wasn't perfect, but it did help me get a little more motion into my shoulder
yeah.
because here I am teaching a class with heavy back then, and I couldn't do my shot good,
Right.
that I'm known for. But
Yeah.
I powered my way through it.
You did.
Yeah,
You did a good job.
yeah.
I loved every minute of it. I had
Thanks.
forgotten about the arm till you brought it up.
Right?
I had
Yeah,
forgotten that because I got a bad shoulder as well, and I typically pack it in case it starts bothering me on a casino trip.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But yeah, when my shoulder healed, I just laid off it for quite a while, and now it's as good as new. Thank God. You know. Yeah.
so let's talk about some of the people now. You knew of some of the gentlemen. There was a gentleman or two that passed away up in the Northeast. Younger
Well, well,
guys. Uh,
um,
Rossi. Did you know Dave? Was it Dave?
of course, Dave Rossi. I knew him very, very well. He took my class when I used to do classes in Atlantic City also, group classes before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And Dave Rossi took my class, and we became friends, and we played together. And Dave Rossi was a great shooter, a nice guy, and unfortunately, he caught COVID,
Yeah.
and he died from it.
Yeah.
Very, very sad.
He was known to be real lively.
He
If
was
I
lively,
remember.
always smiling. You know, he was a good person, a really good person. I enjoyed being with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good shooter. He can when he gets in the pocket, he can go. And he said he loves to play with Howard and his entourage, as he called
Oh,
it.
yeah. I have a lot of friends in Vegas, and people that fly in to hang out with me. This guy, Boris, the coal miner
Right.
from Pennsylvania, from the coal mining country. He comes in when I'm in Vegas, and he's a character. And my friend Costa from Plant City, which is near Tampa, he comes in to play with me. All good guys, and I have stories about every one of those guys.
Well, tell me some of your favorite stories that you just love to reminisce or can't resist telling.
All right, I'll tell you the story. I tell my students this of how I learned the Yuri toss.
Okay.
Okay, so here I am was during the Golden Touch days. So it was maybe 2004, 2005, and we're in Tunica, Mississippi, and we just did a class, a Golden Touch class, and we were doing the par toss, and and we're some of the best shooters in the country. And then I took some of my students over to the Gold Strike. And at the Gold Strike, I see a team of three people, a husband and wife. His name is Dennis and his wife, and another guy named Jim White. And Jim's at one side of the table, Dennis's wife are at the other table. And they're doing this low shot. It's a low on axis toss, but it looks nothing like a par toss, nothing like it.
Right.
And I actually went on a don't against them because it's kind of random. And they picked me off a few times. And then I noticed a stick man waving the stick to distract them. It's like they're doing a controlled toss. I just don't recognize what they're doing. I was never exposed to it. So one of my students, his name is Rex Henry. He says, I know these guys. Two of them live here in Tunica. They're professionals. The other guy lives in Chattanooga. Would you like to meet them? Yeah. So they're online and they're cashing out. So I go online behind them and I say, hey, my name's Howard Rock and Roller. I'm with Golden Touch. And we throw the dice totally different than you guys do. What are you guys doing? They said, we're doing the Yuri toss. The Yuri toss. What's that?
Yeah.
They said, well, we got it from this book by Yuri Konan Kinko, I think his name is. You know, if
Yeah.
you just, Google Yuri craps, it comes up.
Yeah.
And I think the guy was an engineer because I bought the book, but it had a lot of engineering formulas in there, which didn't make sense to me. I'm not a math guy. So I said, you guys show me what you're doing. So they take me to the table and straight out, they're shooting straight out. And they show me this toss. And we set it on the 3V set. Except they're not looking at the 3V like we're trained to do. They're looking at the inside numbers. The
Right.
barrel is what we look at normally. They're looking at what's on the insides. You know, and it's like, well, we're using a 6-2 set or something like that. All right, and they show me how to do it, and I first try it, 7 out, no good. I tried. They said, no, stay focused. This is how you do it, and they kind of mentored me in it, and I got really good at it quickly, and I never rolled. I mean, I had some big rolls with par, but this shot was unbelievable to me because I kept hitting numbers after numbers after numbers, and I said with 3V, lots of 6 and 8s like crazy, and sometimes I'll hit a hard four, and I've been a hard four for the dealers, and I was having a 20 number roll. Then I was only went to the table because it was at nighttime,
Right.
and everybody left the table. I'm playing by myself. I played all night long, and I'm not a night guy. I'm a morning person. I never stay up at night. I didn't go. I never went to bed. I was so hot with myself on that table. I never went to bed and kept shooting and shooting a 20 roll, a 30 roll, a 40 roll, a 30 roll. It was like unbelievable. And I was making good profit. The deals were making money, and it was wonderful. And I remember I had to color up at 8 o'clock in the morning to catch my plane to come back to Florida. Otherwise, I would have kept on playing.
Yeah.
I was like, and then the manager, I think it was the casino manager or the pit manager, whoever it was, came down. He says, we were watching you upstairs. He says, we watched you roll all night long. You're the only one at the table. Because they're paying me to give me the dice right back. I'm the only one there. They said, you must have rolled the dice thousands of times. We're going to give you a diamond card. That's when Harris first bought them, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That was yeah. What was that? The horseshoe. Yeah, when Harris
Okay.
bought it,
Yeah.
and it gave me my first gold card, and I love that toss. Love that toss. The problem was when I would come into town to Tunica, I would play with them as a team. But then when Frank and Dom and my Golden Touch partners would come into town, I couldn't use it because it wasn't what they were teaching.
Right.
And because it wasn't the par toss, I couldn't use it. So I would sneak away and use it when I could. And I remember I was with Frank Scavletti, and we were going to have dinner one night. And Frank, it was in tune. It goes maybe on a Tuesday. Everybody went home. Frank says, "Hey, we're going to have dinner in about an hour and a half at the Horseshoe Steakhouse. I'm going to go upstairs and take a nap." And I'm thinking to myself, "All right, now I go to the casino and do my shot." I love that Yuri toss, love it. So I go straight out, and man, I rolled for an hour with that toss. I was so excited. The magic came right back. And then at dinner, I said to Frank, I got this shot, Frank. It's different than what we teach, but I got to show it to you. I can't hold it in. I got to show it to you. So we go to the casino after dinner. Now, we used to have this big steak dinner and wine and everything. So I'm not going to be at my best, but I'm going to show them anyway. And I rolled maybe, I don't know, maybe 20 numbers. I said, just bet 6, 8, and 4s and hard four. That's what I'm going to be hitting. And I'm at the end, 6, 6, 8, hard 6, hard 8, hard 4. 6 and 8s, they're like crazy. And when I finish, Frank says, I don't like it. It's not the golden touch toss. And then he goes to stick left to do the par toss to show me like, yeah, zero point 0.7 out. He says,
Yeah.
I'm not playing tonight. You know? And I said,
Well,
Frank, I won't do it. I promise I'm not going to do it in front of you anymore, you know.
so
Yeah,
was it GTC that didn't want you to play with the students?
yes.
Okay.
GPC, back then, I don't know how it is now.
Yeah, I'm talking
Back
about
in
back
those
back in the
days,
day.
back in the day, we weren't really, they didn't really want us playing with the students much. And especially when the instructors would go out to play. We like to play with our friends, the other instructors. So they really didn't want the students around, you
Right.
know. Um, I'm not sure what the reason is. I mean, I could guess maybe because they don't know all the rules, and they might do some late bets or stick their hands out or make a commotion and draw attention to our table. Or maybe it might be a little embarrassing if you don't do well that night in front of this. You
It
know what
could
I mean?
be anything. Yeah.
It could be anything. I'm not sure. Um, so the other rule was not to play with other camps. They had these all these unwritten rules. Like
Right.
I couldn't play with friend dice coach. I couldn't play with heavy. I couldn't play with any of the other guys because it was or the par guys because it was a different camp.
Right.
You know, everybody had their own group, but I didn't care. I'd play with everybody because I was proud of my shot. So I don't care. I'll play with anybody. And they would say, no, don't play with them. And I'd say, I'm like the ambassador of goodwill because I'm going to have good roles in front of them. So it makes our group look good. You know, I didn't care. I still don't care.
Right.
I'll play with everybody.
You've made a lot of good friends over the years. I know you have.
Thanks.
There's another name I had written down, Doctor Z.
Dr. Z. Okay. So let's go back to
We're going
when
back
I left,
again. Yeah.
when I left Golden Touch. I left Golden Touch and I was kind of lonely playing by myself. It's not much fun. I like being in a group now. So I call up Jerry, and Jerry welcomes me in, and he says, we're doing different tosses now. But I knew the Uri toss, but they didn't do that. But I didn't know any other tosses. We're doing off axis. I said, what the heck is off axis? I didn't know what it was. So they show me a shot that they developed that this guy Walt D. and the Sage developed called Dice Magic. It's an all seven set. If you throw it on a certain angle, when the dice land, they break out of the seven set onto the box numbers.
Right.
So it actually is kind of a controlled toss.
Yeah.
Um, and and I picked it up real fast. I remember I had a 20 number roll right away with it when he showed it to me. And I said, I can't believe this works. It's not the par toss, it's totally different. It's from straight out. So it wasn't on axis. So it's totally different. But I picked it up real fast. And then I remember Dr. Z took the class, and Dr. Z came up. He was a math professor. Dr. Z was a math professor. His name was Jack Zito,
Okay.
and he was a math professor. And he came up with a different type of toss that used the same principles that the magic toss used, throwing it on that angle. It's actually a 45-degree angle. Throwing it on that angle with the back point of the dice hitting first.
Right.
That's how it works. And Dr. Z developed a toss called the Z1, which works great. It looks kind of funny. It's different.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like nothing that no one's ever seen. But then he says he had a dream, and he came up with Dr. Z2 toss. Now, the Dr. Z2 toss was an all seven set with the dice on two different planes. One of the planes is flat, one of the planes is the dice are pointy, like a 45. And you throw it in a way so when they land, they break out that seven set by hitting the point. But he started getting heat with it. He's having good rolls, but he got heat with it because his hand is covering the dice when he does this crazy grip.
Okay.
So then he developed the Z. I guess that was the Z2, but then he came out with the Z2 pizza delivery toss.
The pizza
Now,
delivery toss.
yes. And that is the Z2, the same angles, you set the same way, but you turn your hand upside down and you throw it in an underhand kind of pitch.
Okay.
And it works that way. You know? So that's the Z2. And my friend, I lent my friend Rich, his name is, I'll give him a little plug, Vegas Dice Controller. He's
Right.
in Vegas.
Right.
Him and his wife, Colombian, was it CDC, Colombian Dice
Yeah.
Controller.
Colombian dice controller and Vegas dice controller. Right.
That's his wife. And they're my friends from
Yeah.
the old par days. They're my friends. So, so I lent them, my Dr. Z uh, DVD that I had, so they could learn it.
Yeah.
And they learned it very, very well. And that's one of her favorite shots now. She does the Z2 pizza delivery toss, and she's very good at it.
Does she
Very
really?
good.
Okay.
Yeah, she's good at it. Yes. Yeah. Um, so that's Dr. Z. Then there was one other group I'll tell you about with Par,
All
and it's
right.
kind of crazy. The other group is called the Little Joe Group.
I've heard of that one. Yeah. Tell us.
So uh, I don't want to give their names away because they're
No.
very, very private. But
Yeah.
one guy goes by the name of Snake, okay?
Yeah.
Because they use a set that brings up a lot. It's like they call it the Snake set, and it brings up a lot of horn numbers. And they came up with their own off-axis toss, from the same principles that Walt taught us and
Right.
Dr. Z taught us. And they use that toss. So that's a little Joe toss. Yeah. And then Jerry Passon retired. He's getting older. He
Right.
retired, and then the whole organization kind of fell apart. He was like the glue that held it together.
Right.
All right, on the left hand side is my friend Coy, and on the right side with the pink shirt is Dr. Z.
Okay.
So, um, Coy, well, I told you about Dr. Z. He passed away, a few years ago, but he was a good guy. He was jovial, very, very good shooter with his own technique. The guy next to him on the left side is my friend Coy. Coy is now 96. And I,
96.
96. In
Wow.
that picture, he's probably in his upper 80s. He always looked younger than his age,
Right.
in wonderful health. And he was my shooting partner for probably 15 years, yeah, for a long time since he moved to Vegas. He became my friend. He was a par guy. And Coy does a shot that I guess he kind of learned it from Dr. Z, the principles of it, but he doesn't use an all seven set. He uses a 5 and 9 set. And he has a really gentle toss. And when they land, the dice break up when they land. He uses the same principle
Right.
about how to build them up. And he doesn't care if the table's bouncy, table's hard. He'll have big rolls all the time. Yeah. So um, Coy, uh, when the pandemic hit, for his own safety, some of his friends moved him up to Sacramento to live with his sister because he was already in his 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
He still wants to play. He's still a good shooter, and he moved up to Sacramento, and then his sister, I guess, got tired of taking care of him. She's used to having the house to herself, and she put him in like a retirement home, assisted living. But he hated it because you know he said he had nothing in common with everybody, and everybody's in wheelchairs and walkers, but he doesn't even need that. So he said, "Oh, well, I see you're old people." He didn't like it because he doesn't see himself being old. And sure enough, just maybe a week ago, his friends in Vegas moved him back down to Las Vegas. So now he's back in town.
So
And my
did you get
friend David, what?
did you get to play with him?
Well, not yet because he came a week after I was there. I
Okay.
just came back.
All right.
He just came into town. But here he is. He hasn't practiced in about 3 years. And his friends, my friend Dennis and Bill, took him out to a casino to play. He had a 20 number roll right away. He still remembered how to do it. And he's 96 years old, you
Wow.
know? So I can't wait to get back together. And next time I go to Vegas, I'll be seeing him, in about a month or so. And
Yeah.
we'll hang out and play together. Yeah.
All right. So a couple of questions I've always, and I'm not even sure if I would know which is the right answer that you're going to give, but your talent. Let me put this on where I'm at the bottom of my record. Your talent is virtually unmatched as far as your ability to get the dice in the air together, land where you want them, and land softly, etc. What gives you the biggest thrill? Now I know back in the day y'all probably made a lot of money, but what gives Howard Rock and Roller the thrill today? Is it the long roll, or is it teaching the students?
All right. Um,
That's a tough question.
yeah, but I first want to say one thing. I know a lot of people like to show, you know, their chips and their pictures,
Yeah,
you know.
you don't.
I, I, I never do that
Right.
because I don't really care how much I make because I don't want anybody knowing. I'm more proud of how long I can hold the dice for and how long my rolls are. To me,
Right.
that's my skill, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'm most proud of. And I was playing with some Golden Touch friends about 2 months ago when I was in Vegas, and they wanted to see if I could still do it because they hadn't seen me shoot, in a
Yeah.
long time. We had a reunion. And I took to the end of the table. I got into my zone. I did my par toss like it's like the old days, and I had a 62 number roll. And it's like, Howard, you still got it. And I felt I was in that zone where they can't stop me. And I felt I could have kept on going, maybe even broken my 86 record. But the stick man, not stick man, the dealer next to me started, getting me out of my zone. What he was doing was, when I'm in my zone, I really don't want to. I try to block everything out, and I don't want to hear people talking around me, because I start listening to their conversations, and it gets me out of my zone. I want to be in my little dream world, and
Hmm.
sometimes I have trouble blocking it out. So I'm in this zone, and I'm feeling warm and feeling good. My dice are landing the same spot every time, perfect. From 12 feet away, just perfect. And then the guy near me starts talking to the dealer, just nonsense. And the dealer's talking back, and I'm hearing their conversation. It's like cross talking right in front of me. So I go like, shh. In my mind, I'm like Tiger Woods. I'm
Right.
focusing on my shot. I don't want to hear people talking and making noises around me. I want quiet so I can stay in my zone.
I'm kind of
And
the same
the
way.
and the dealer got mad at me for telling him to shush. So now he's talking a mile a minute, making all kinds of noises, even when the other guy's not even talking to him, just to annoy me. And everybody's betting for the dealers. So I'm betting, they're betting big and they're betting for the dealers. And I'm just rolling, and the dealers are making a lot of money. And this guy just kept on annoying me. Finally, it's like I got out of my zone. And when I did, my shot was off, seven
Yeah.
out. And I was angry at him. It's like, what a fool. Because you could have kept on making money. You're working for tips.
Yeah.
Why would you do that to a shooter that's on a big roll? And everybody's betting for you. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Because then we all left. Now he has no money, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Push.
Yeah. Y'all colored up and left, no doubt, right then.
Yeah. But going back to your question, I I love teaching and sharing my skill. Um, and sharing my skill as much as playing. I love it. Now
Well,
you
you're the
know
guy with 1,001 shots, right?
I
I
do
mean,
have
you got.
I have I have at least six different tosses from each position.
Yeah. that's,
Yeah,
that's mind
yeah.
boggling. So, all right. So, before we close, I'll give you the opportunity to talk about your classes. I know you got two different places, one in Florida, one in Las Vegas. Tell everybody
Yeah.
about that and how to get a hold of you.
Okay. I can be reached on my phone number. My cell number is 954-599-8648. My website is howardrockinroller.com. And that's, I spell, it's HOWARD, the word rock in one word, ROCK, the letter N, and the word roller, ROLLER.com. I also have a Facebook page called Howard Rock and Rollers Craps Group,
Right.
and that's a Facebook page. I write stories every day, and I do some videos on YouTube under my name Howard Rock and Roller. I do some tutorial videos of me throwing the dice and practicing and everything. And so I teach in Florida and Fort Lauderdale. I have a 12-foot table that you can see behind me. That table is actually
Yeah,
from
I see it.
Caesars.
From
Yeah,
Caesars in
Caesars. Well, Caesars Atlantic City.
Atlantic City. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 12-foot table from Caesars, and um, and then I have a 12-foot table in Las Vegas. I have a condo in Las Vegas, right near the Gold Coast, and I teach there also. And I shuttle back and forth. A couple of months in Fort Lauderdale I teach, and then a month or two in Las Vegas. And that's the market I've been primarily focusing on. And I love teaching. I love sharing my knowledge, sharing my skills, teaching people, how to get an edge in playing craps in the casino.
I know I've sent you a couple of people.
Thanks.
That,
I really appreciate it.
I know of it. I can think of at least two of them offhand. I don't know if I can remember their names right offhand, but I know I've sent you some people.
Yeah.
Um, so
And people could reach me also through email. They could call me on my phone number, 954-599-8648, or they could email me also at howardrockandroller@gmail.com.
perfect. We got one good mutual friend. I think he's your friend. Aloha Johnny.
Aloha Johnny is a great guy. I've known Aloha Johnny for many years. Matter of fact, he is such a kind and generous friend. He's wonderful. He was instrumental in helping me get a craps table for my Las Vegas craps pit.
Okay.
Johnny comes into town from California. He goes on Craigslist and finds me a table. And we rent a box truck, a U-Haul box truck,
Uh huh.
and we go out to this guy's house. It's up on the second floor loft. It's a table from Aliente Casino, but he has up in his loft. And we hired these moving guys. They weren't really moving guys. They were just, you know, guys from the hood,
Yeah. Yeah.
that with us. And they're carrying this craps table down and trying not to hit the walls. And we got dollies and everything. And they set up my house. And it's a beautiful table. That's the table I have. But of course, my friend Aloha Johnny, I was able to get that table.
That's that's the
And
kind of guy he is.
he's good friend, good friend.
All right. So before we close, I'll give you the opportunity to talk about your classes. I know you got two different places, one in Florida, one in Las Vegas. Tell everybody
Yeah.
about that and how to get a hold of you.
Okay. I can be reached on my phone number. My cell number is 954-599-8648. My website is howardrockandroller.com. And that's, I spell, it's HOWARD, the word rock in one word, ROCK, the letter N, and the word roller, ROLLER.com. I also have a Facebook page called Howard Rock and Rollers Craps Group,
Right.
and that's a Facebook page. I write stories every day, and I do some videos on YouTube under my name Howard Rock and Roller. I do some tutorial videos of me throwing the dice and practicing and everything. And So I teach in Florida and Fort Lauderdale. I have a 12-foot table that you can see behind me. That table is actually
Yeah,
from
I see it.
Caesars.
From
Yeah,
Caesars in
Caesars. Well, Caesars Atlantic City.
Atlantic City. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 12-foot table from Caesars, and then I have a 12-foot table in Las Vegas. I have a condo in Las Vegas, right near the Gold Coast, and I teach there also. And I shuttle back and forth. A couple of months in Fort Lauderdale I teach, and then a month or two in Las Vegas. And that's the market I've been primarily focusing on. And I love teaching. I love sharing my knowledge, sharing my skills, teaching people, how to get an edge in playing craps in the casino.
I know I've sent you a couple of people.
Thanks.
That,
I really appreciate it.
I know of it. I can think of at least two of them offhand. I don't know if I can remember their names right offhand, but I know I've sent you some people.
Yeah.
So
And people could reach me also through email. They could call me on my phone number, 954-599-8648, or they could email me also at howardrockandroller@gmail.com.